Hey, what's up? I'm Eric. Tuesday Night Legacy, bringing you a live game played on May 17th. This is round 3. On the left in the Tomb Raider sleeves, we have Ben bringing back his Naya Maverick deck. I think last time he was on here, I said that the red splash was for punishing fire, but it appears that's not the case. It's for a main deck Clothis and some sideboard cards. But the general idea of the deck, of course, is to get ahead on mana with small mana dorks like Birds of Paradise and Noble Hierarch, to be able to cast Green Sun Zenith to go through your deck and tutor up some Silver Bullet creatures, as well as just some mid-range heavy hitters like Knight of the Reliquary and Endurance. On the right, in the white sleeves, we have Steven, our resident combo player, always bringing something surprising. Today he's playing a Painter deck, which focuses around the combo of Painter Servant, turning all cards not in play, as well as in play the same color, and then Grindstone, which you can activate to mill out your opponent in one fell swoop. The Grindstone is tutorable with Urza Saga, so that's definitely a power level bump for this deck. But being Steven, of course, we have a little extra spice in here as well with the Greasefang plus Parhelion combo slotted in as well, which is, of course, big equipment that, as long as it's in the graveyard, Greasefang could bring it out and get in there for a bunch of damage. Just kind of a different angle of attack that's harder to deal with on the board. All that being said, we'll get straight into game 1 and see how it goes. We have Steven on the play on a Mold of 6, and Ben kept a 7. Steven leads off, grabs a land, and plays a Goblin Welder. This card will let him swap artifacts in play for artifacts in his graveyard. Potentially a pretty good way to get out the combo pieces that he needs to win the game if they're dealt with. Ben will just play Birds of Paradise and pass it back. Pretty good spot for Ben. He does love to play a turn 1 mana dork to accelerate into a 3-drop pretty quickly. Here Steven has played as Painter. It looks like the color he's chosen is blue, so all cards in basically all zones are now blue in addition to their other colors. This could kind of have a synergistic effect if you're playing stuff like Pyroblast or similar, but we'll see if anything comes up to see why he's chosen blue. Ben just lays out a Dryad Arbor. Think about making another play here. He lays out a Thalia, which will make things slow down a little bit and hopefully develop a board before Steven can get his combo out. And Steven plays Goblin Engineer. So it's kind of like a fixed welder. You have to spend mana on the ability, and it could only target stuff that's 3 mana or less from the graveyard, but it has a nice ETB effect where you go into your deck and dump an artifact into the graveyard directly. In this case, he's grabbed a Lotus Petal. Thought about swinging, decides against it, given that Thalia can freely block both of those creatures. Back on Ben's turn here. He's got to be a little worried about the combo coming out as Urza Saga is about to go off, and it can grab that Grindstone, assuming Steven has a third land. He could float a mana and then be able to activate that Grindstone immediately, but all he's got is a couple of Noble Hierarchs. Steven does float the mana, goes into the deck. I'm thinking about what to grab here. Maybe he doesn't have the third mana. Although, basically anything that he grabs here, he can just swap with the Lotus Petal to get an extra mana, but that's not going to necessarily win because he doesn't have a Grindstone in play presently. So he grabs a Pithing Needle. Looks like he decides against it, goes back into the deck and grabs something else. Yeah, there's nothing on the battlefield that he could have really named. Pithing Needle doesn't stop mana abilities, so he does just go grab the Grindstone. Floating 1 colorless in the pool. We'll see if he has the ability to make another mana. All he needs is a land drop. But unfortunately, it is a tapped land. That's one of the triomes. I can't tell quite which one that is. I'd imagine that it's the Mardu one, black, white, red, given the colors of his deck, but I could be wrong. Ben, Green Sun Zenith for X equals 2, tapping all of his mana dorks. And yep, there he is, the Collector Roof. Any hope of getting the combo off is going to be halted until that Collector Roof is off the board. And that's going to be extra difficult because Ben also plays a Mother of Runes with his last land. Passes it back to Steven. He needs to first kill this Collector Roof and then activate the Grindstone to be able to win this game. We'll see how it goes. He doesn't have anything, so he scoops it up and we move on to game 2. Steven on the play, leading off with a land. Let's see how it goes. Playing again that tri-land. Ben's just immediately going to wasteland that and set him back. There comes a basic. Can't wasteland that. Oh, he also plays a Grindstone. But Ben has the Prismatic Ending to clear that out of the way. Steven will shock and play a Painter's Servant, naming blue again. Ben lays out his Thalia. Again, just slowing things down here. Lays out another shock. And spends the full 2 mana to play that Grindstone. Unless this thing is dealt with this turn from Ben's side, Steven's going to untap and win the game on the spot. Ben spent a Prismatic Ending already, which was his best way. He's betting his hopes on a Wasteland, removing the 3rd mana, and just hoping that Steven doesn't have the 3rd land, but he does. Activates the Grindstone, and that was a quick and easy game 2 for Steven. We'll see how it goes in game 3. Ben on the play. We'll get into it. He leads off with the classic Green Suns for 0 off of a fetch land, grabbing a land and a Dryad Arbor, and Steven will play a tapped land and a Lotus Petal, accelerating that mana ever so slightly. A good idea to get the Lotus Petal out while it's still 0 mana. Thalia is I believe a 4 of in the Maverick deck. Being so creature heavy, it doesn't feel the pain quite as much. He wastes that Triome and lays out a Mother of Runes. He gets in there for 1 with the Arbor. Steven spends 2 mana sacking that Lotus Petal for the old Goblin Engineer. And puts a Parhelion into the graveyard, so it looks like we're on the old Greasefang plan this time around. Parhelion being a pretty devastating vehicle. Greasefang is worded so that the vehicle returns to the hand at the end of turn, but Parhelion leaves 2 angel tokens, 2 4/4 flyers behind, which is quite a lot for any deck to deal with, so it's about as close to a game-winning combo as a single vehicle could get. Ben will go ahead and Green Suns X equals 2. Probably Collector Roof. Yep, just like he thought. That'll prevent Parhelion's crew from activating, even if Steven does get the Greasefang out. Steven's going to go ahead and fetch Shock. We'll see what he does with his mana this turn. It's going to be another Goblin Engineer, putting a Painter into the graveyard. This could potentially... Goblin Engineer is not an artifact creature, so you could still activate the ability. So Steven could, for example, play an artifact, get the Painter back onto the battlefield, naming blue, and then maybe he has like a Pyroblast or something that he could attempt to kill the Oof with. But Ben's going to make that a little bit more difficult by playing out that Mother of Runes. Back to Steven's turn. He also, Ben also plays a Knight of the Reliquary, which of course is a threat. Steven's going to play that Greasefang. And I don't think he necessarily had to do this, but just to be safe, Ben goes ahead and endurances. A lot of shenanigans could have happened between the engineers. The Greasefang, for example, reanimating the Parhelion could bring the Parhelion back, even though it can't be crewed. Steven could have swapped it from being in play and turned it into like a Painter Servant, for example. So all in all, probably a wise move to endurance in that spot. Steven's got another Greasefang after the first one was exiled with Prismatic Ending. Steven will chump block the large mid-rangey creature with his Goblin Engineer. Here comes a Grindstone, can't activate that. And a Goblin Welder. Steven empty-handed, but with a Saga in play. You could potentially find maybe a Pyrite Spellbomb is in the list somewhere, or some other way to deal with that oof, but as long as it's in play, most of his game plans are going to have a small chance of winning. Chump blocks again, just throwing Welders and Engineers in front, but there's a second Mother of Runes, so this is going to get more and more difficult for Steven to remove the Collector oof. He makes a Saga token, and he spends 2 for a channel of Twin Shot Archer, targeting the Collector oof. This effect is red, though, so I don't think he's going to have much of a shot here at killing this Collector oof. I don't have audio, so I don't know what they're talking about. He takes it back. I think they may be under the mistaken impression that Collector oof stops Twin Shot Archer from channeling. It's an activated ability, and Twin Shot Archer is an artifact creature, but channel is from the hand, and Collector oof doesn't stop abilities of artifacts in hand from being activated. It only stops them on the battlefield. So we may have received some bad advice, or both players may be interpreting the cards wrong. But Ben plays a Questing Beast from his hand and swings in for what's about to be lethal damage. Saves the Questing Beast with the Mother of Runes, and at that point Steven scoops it up. However, I do believe that the players were mistaken, because in this particular spot right here, after Mother of Runes is activated, so this Mother of Runes is tapped, that means he only has 1 Mother of Runes available. So what Steven could do is he could channel this Twin Shot Archer targeting the Collector oof. It would go to the graveyard, and then Mother of Runes would probably target Collector oof with protection from red, and then Steven could Goblin Welder, sacrificing his Construct token, bring the Twin Shot Archer back onto the battlefield, which Twin Shot Archer has enters the battlefield ability of deal 2. So it's already in the graveyard, and he could just target the Collector oof a second time with the first one and the Mother of Runes protection on the stack, and snipe it out. But he would have to top deck a Painter Servant for that to actually happen. I'm not saying he definitely had the win, but he could have taken the draw step and with the Collector oof out of the way, potentially found that Painter and gotten there. However, to be fair, of course, if the players perhaps had the correct impression about how Twin Shot Archer worked with Collector oof, I think Ben was a lot more likely to hold up both of those Mother of Runes and just get there over the course of several turns with the Knight of the Reliquary being such a huge threat. Either way, thank you to Spellhold Games for hosting us. This was Tuesday Night Legacy, and I'll see you next time.